Do you know the story of the man who worshipped Allah for 60 years, yet died in a state of being a mushrik? If not, keep watching this video and share it with others as well. The authenticity of the story of Barsisa is questionable, but some Muslim scholars consider it to be true. Barsisa was a pious worshipper from the tribe of Israel and was considered the most pious person of his time. Because of his piety, 3 brothers asked him to take care of their sister as they were going to war, as they didn't know of anyone trustworthy with whom to leave their sister and who could look after her as she was mentally handicapped. Therefore, they asked him if they could leave her in the house next to Barsisa's house so he could look after her without being with her directly. At first, he denied for fear of being involved in sin, but when they persisted, he finally agreed to their request. Thus, she was put in the house next to her and they left. She remained there for some time, and Barsisa would put food for her outside her house, and after he had returned to his house and locked himself in, he would call out to her to get the food. As days passed, Shaitan began to approach him and encouraged him to treat her kindly, and told him it was not right for a woman to go out and get the food in the open where others could see. If he brought her the food directly to her door, it would be better for both of them and he would be more rewarded. Barsisa initially rejected the ideas, but eventually relented. He began going to her house and giving her the food without saying a word. As days passed, Shaitan encouraged him to get closer to her, insisting that it would be even better if he took her the food and put it in the house so she didn't have to come outside. Again, Barsisa initially dismissed his ideas, but eventually fell to his treachery and started taking the food inside her house. However, Shaitan wanted him to go even further and began inciting Barsisa to talk to her so she wouldn't feel alone. Barsisa then began talking to her from his place of worship. Shaitan came again and said, "If you were to come down and talk to her while she sits at her door and talks to you, that would be even more comforting for her." He continued to encourage him until he came down and sat at his door and would talk to her. The girl would come out of her house and sit at her door, and they would talk for a while. Shaitan then said, "If you enter her house and talk to her and not make her show her face in public, it would be even better for you." Barsisa relented and began talking to her, spending his whole day over there, only returning to his place of worship when night fell. Then Shaitan returned and continued to make her more appealing to him until Barsisa succumbed to his temptations and had intercourse with her. She got pregnant and later gave birth to a boy. Barsisa was scared at what he had done, but Shaitan again approached him and said, "Don't you realize what her brothers will do to you when they see this baby? They will never let you go. Go and kill the baby and bury it somewhere. In that way, you will remain safe, and no one will ever know about the boy." Barsisa did as Shaitan told him and killed the poor boy. However, Shaitan was not entirely convinced and said, "And do you think she will not tell her brothers what you did to her and her child? Kill her as well and bury them both." In a state of fear, Barsisa couldn't help but follow Shaitan's orders and killed her too, then threw her and her child in a ditch, then put a large rock and leveled it. Barsisa then returned to his place of worship and stayed there until the brothers returned from war. When they asked him about their sister, he began to cry and lied that she had gotten sick and showed them a fake grave. The brothers didn't suspect a thing, seeing Barsisa's piety, and accepted her death and prayed for her. At night when they slept, Shaitan came in their dreams in the form of a traveler and asked the eldest brother first about his sister. He told him they had left her with Barsisa and she had died from sickness. Shaitan told him that Barsisa had lied and told him the truth about what he had done to his sister and their child, and showed him her real grave. He said, "Go and enter the house in which she stayed, and on the right of the entrance you will find everything I told you about." Then he went to the middle brother and later to the youngest brother and did the same. The next morning, when they met one another, they discussed their dreams. The eldest said, "It was just a dream, so just ignore it." However, the youngest said, "I will not leave it until I go and search that place." They all went until they reached the door of the place where their sister stayed. They opened the door and looked for the place that was described to them in their dreams. They found their sister and her son buried in a ditch, as they were told. They confronted Barsisa about it, and he confirmed what Shaitan had told them. They then took him to the ruler, who sentenced him to death. As he was about to be executed, Shaitan came up to him for the last time and said, "You know that I am your companion, who tempted you with the woman until you got her pregnant, and you killed her and her son. If you obey me today and deny Allah, I will save you from being executed." Out of desperation, Barsisa accepted his order and prostrated to Shaitan. But Shaitan left him on his own, and Barsisa was then executed, with his last act being that of shirk. If you like this story, please like this video and subscribe to this channel. May Allah save us all from the treachery and temptations of Shaitan and make us steadfast in our Iman. Ameen.